In June of 2006, there was a horrific car accident outside of the city of Boise in the state of Idaho. A truck had swerved into oncoming traffic and hit a sedan that was transporting a mother of two. She was 36, and her two children, an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. The mother and the 4-year-old did not make it. The 8-year-old survived and was injured. The driver of the truck was, of course, fine. And as first responders started to look around and arrive on the scene, didn't take long for them to notice a human head just in the road. There didn't appear to be a body to match the head. So let's get into it because this is wild. Theresa Time, or Theresa Time, I've also heard, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, was 47 at the time of her death. She was born on September 3rd, 1959, in Samoa. She came from a really big family. She had 11 siblings. I found an article on legacy.com under the Idaho Statesman section, and it says, quote, "She was raised and educated in Samoa. In the 1970s, she moved to Oxnard, California, and I used to live in the Bay Area. I have zero idea where that is. Where is that, people? Northern California, Southern? I don't know. Where she raised 3 sons. In the year 2000, she moved to the state of Idaho, and she worked in Boise at the Can Do Insurance Company. But most recent to the time of her death, she was working for the state of Idaho, Health and Welfare. Her family said that Theresa was kind and loving, she was helpful, and she enjoyed entertaining and caring for people. And she always had a genuine smile for everyone. According to the Associated Press, Theresa was a missionary for more than a year with the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, and she directed music at the Oxnard LDS Church. Theresa had been married twice at the time of her death. I'm not sure if her first marriage started in Samoa or in the United States, but she was married to a man, and they had 3 children. And after they divorced, she moved to Idaho, near Boise, in a city called Nampa, Nampa. This is where the case gets tricky, and I'm having a very difficult time finding information about her second marriage, but this is what I have so far. Theresa got married to a man named Alufa. Alufa, Alofa. Sure, I'm saying that wrong. Time, or Time, Time. And they were married, some records say, in December, and were filing for a divorce by January the next year. So it was not a good relationship. And Theresa's sister said that he was like a really jealous guy, and she just didn't get good vibes from him. In March of 2006, 50-year-old Alufa tried to strangle Theresa, and he was put in jail, and the judge put a no contact order in place for the two of them to protect Theresa. But just 3 months later, by June, she was asking the judge to lift the no contact order. And at first the judge was like, no way, you have to take a safety planning victims class before I'll lift the contact order. And she did it. She passed the class, and the judge lifted the order, and 16 days later she was murdered. And if you are wondering why she would want the order to be lifted, I think I'm going to save that for a different video. But if you're unfamiliar in domestic violence, there is physical violence where your partner just beats you up. There's also coercive control where your partner gains control of all your funds and isolates you from your family. There's, so many different kinds of abuse. After Gabby Petito was murdered, I went and did a lot of research on strangulation. I watched a few lectures, and strangulation is extremely personal. You have to be like up close to that person, and it takes about 10 to 15 seconds for them to lose consciousness, and then it takes about 3 to 5 minutes for the person to die, or for them to at least go brain dead. So that's quite a long time having like somebody just kind of limp in your hands and you continued assaulting them. Sometimes strangulation leaves a mark, like you get bloodshot eyes, or your tongue swells up, or like a hoarse voice, and other times it leaves no marks. According to the Strangulation Reference Guide on courts.california.gov, strangulation can cause physical injuries to the neck, face, eyelids, mouth, ears, scalp, and chest, along with neurological issues like fainting, having behavior changes, loss of memory, headaches, and can cause psychological issues. This other terrible thing that can happen with strangulation called delayed death. And that's when a person gets strangled and then days or weeks even later, they have a blood clot that makes its way all the way up to their brain, and then they end up having like a stroke or an aneurysm or something, and then they die. And so even if you don't die during the actual process of being strangled, which also is supposedly one of the most scary things to experience as a human, um, then yeah, you still have a chance of dying afterwards. So be careful. On another website, I found an article written by Madison Stacy that's literally titled "Manual Strangulation is the biggest sign domestic violence will turn deadly." There's some statistics out there that are like, people are 700% more likely to become a victim of attempted homicide if they've been strangled by their partner. And some records state that that number is actually 750%, and the homicide method will be done with a gun. I found an article online written by Shahid Shabazz that states, and I quote, "The study found that strangulation is a significant predictor of attempted and completed murder." If you want to look at the number end of things, statistically, the odds raise by 7. Non-deadly strangulation is without a doubt an indication that a person isn't against the idea of killing their partner. So, if you've ever been choked, or if you are in a situation, please call somebody and get out now, because you are in immediate and imminent danger. And I will leave the domestic violence hotline down below. It is open 24/7, as well as the text line that you can just text the word "start" to, and you can be connected with somebody that can help. One thing that you should know is that leaving a partner or leaving a violent partner is the most dangerous time for a victim of abuse. So don't just willy-nilly do it. You need to make these phone calls or send these text messages. You need to make a safety plan, and you need to not say anything. Just go. So please be safe out there. So now that we know all of this information, it's pretty easy for you and I to predict the outcome of the judge lifting this no contact order would result in. In this case, it took 16 days. In another, it might take 3 years. We don't know. So police have been able to kind of put together what they think happened, and they think that Alofa attacked Theresa in the garage of their marital home. He SA'd her with the leg of a broken coffee table. And in a note found, or maybe he said it to the cops, he was like, "I hope this gives her the eternal pleasure that she seeks." Yeah, great dude. You're nuts. All right, moving on. Then he stabbed her and decapitated her. Then he put her head in the bed of his truck and he drove towards Boise. And he decided that he wanted to attempt suicide. So he swerved on into that sedan, of course, killing a mother and child. And he lived. And of course, it didn't take long for police to go, trace everything back, go back to Teresa's home, where they found her body that was sitting in the driver's seat of a car in the garage, headless. So it was a really messed up situation. Um, I wish there was more information out there. At least there was some information that kind of helped us get familiar with Theresa as a person because she seemed like a really, really nice person. So Alufa was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. And so there was a little bit of justice in the case. Let's shoot some prayers out to Teresa's family and especially her surviving sons and siblings. I hope that you guys stay safe out